Hey guys! Today I am super excited to be sharing with you an intro for my new Pan That palette in order. If you didn't follow along with this project, I kind of did it for the past 2 years with just one palette. I was working on the Lorac Pro 3, the Lorac Pro 3 palette. I was going to say Mega 3, but no, the regular Lorac Pro 3 palette. And what I have been doing so far is, for this project, is I pick a relatively new palette. The Lorac palette was brand new. The one I chose for this year has been used a little bit, but barely. And I'm trying to hit pan. On every shade in the order that they come in the palette. The reason why I've been liking doing my Pan That palettes like this is so that I can really just focus in on one shade at a time. It still gives me the freedom to use other eyeshadows, especially focusing in on my Pan Those eyeshadows and just using my collection in general. If I were to do this as a regular Pan That palette, I know myself. I know I would just only use my Pan That palette to try to make as much progress as I could. So it kind of limits myself to just using the one shade at a time, but in the long run, it helps me be able to use everything. So that's what we're doing. The palette that I chose, you would have seen in the thumbnail already, but this is the Cargo Cosmetics Around the World palette. At one point, these were going around in TJ Maxx's and Marshall's like crazy, and it kind of became a thing where I wanted to collect them all, as a lot of things end up doing to me. So I have a bunch of these Cargo palettes. They're not the best formula. So why was I trying to collect them all? I'm not sure. But it was back when TJ Maxx and Marshalls were just starting to release or bring in high-end makeup, which Cargo is kind of like a middle of the road, I feel like, brand. But all that being said, this is the palette. I'm going to try to not show the mirror. And it's just a really basic neutral palette. It's a little bit more cool tone, but then you have a few warm tone options. I just think this is going to be so easy to add in with anything else that I would want to pan. And obviously you can kind of tell why. I'll put a close-up of the palette here so you can see it better. But basically, I just think that it'll be really easy to just focus on one at a time. I kind of think I can hit pan on at least one shade a month. And I really want to have this one done by the end of the year, just having pan, not finishing them, just hitting pan on every single shade by the end of the year, and I think I can do that. My Lorac palette took me 2 years, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 eyeshadow pans in here, so if I just hit one pan a month, we'll be good. But I kind of think I might be able to go through it a little bit quicker than that too. And that would be awesome if I could do that. But I am going to try to just give myself the goal of one per month, or just having this done by the year, however that works itself out. So basically, let me swatch out the whole palette and then we can talk about it more. Okay, so here are all the shades swatched out. I do have a little bit of staining on my hand underneath the swatches, so any of the pinkiness you see was from a blush I just had on my hand before. But there are all the shades. They're relatively pigmented. These shimmers are impressive, I think, especially for it being an older, cheaper palette. And most of the mattes kind of have a sheen to them. At least it seems like it. But even just from swatching it, there are dips. Not really dips, but it's definitely a formula that is more chunky, and thicker feeling. If you know what I mean, if you've played with any kind of cheaper palettes, you kind of know what I mean. But that's kind of why I think that these will go relatively quickly. And they're very neutral, everyday colors. So we have, I also like that they're named after like countries. It's kind of cool. Countries and cities. I guess they're all cities. So first we have Rome, which is just a matte cream color. That'll be the first one we're working on, which will be like an easy start to the year, I think. And then we have Paris, which is just a really pretty champagne shimmer, which will make a great lid shade or inner corner or brow bone. I can use that a ton. Then we have Tokyo, which is a very similar color. It's just a little bit more pinky and a little bit lighter. London is the first matte, and it does have a little bit of a sheen to it. It's more of a cooler tone. It has a little bit of a hint of purple, but it's more of like a grayish purple to it, but it's definitely still brown. And then we have Amsterdam, which is more of a golden shimmer. New York, which is kind of a bronzy brown. It has a little bit of shimmer in that swatch, but honestly, in the pan, it looks like a matte. I think I'll probably use it as a matte or a lash line shade. We'll kind of just have to see how that works once it gets on the eyes. And then the second row, we have Shanghai, which is my favorite matte in this palette. Just by looking at my usage from previous, that one had the most usage on it already. So that's Shanghai. It's more of a warm toned matte. And then we have Moscow. We're starting to get a little bit darker, which is just kind of a nice cool tone like taupe. And then underneath is Athens, which is a very like gray toned. It's like that matte formula, but it does have a little bit of a sheen to it. Next is Dublin, the darkest shade, at least in the swatch. In the palette, it doesn't really seem like the darkest, but it's definitely more of like a gray tone, charcoal black. That will be an eyeliner for me. And then we have Madrid, which is a chocolate brown. And then lastly, we have Toronto, which is a dark brown matte. So again, here is the palette. I am really excited to start working on this. I am filming this intro early, so I'm not going to actually start working on this until January, until I come back from vacation. I'm pre-filming this before I go on Christmas break, so you might even see this while I'm home for Christmas break if I don't have enough videos to post, but I won't start working on it until January, like 10th-ish, I think is about when I get back. So, yeah, because I'm not bringing this home with me, obviously. Anyway, I'm really excited to start on this palette. Let me know if you guys are doing this project as well. I'm dropping it. On my last series of this, some people mentioned that they thought that they would start doing this. Let me know if you guys are doing it down below. And yeah, let me know if you're excited to follow along with this one. I'm really excited to start working on this one. I'm like really excited to put my Lorac palette away. Like I said, I'm pre-filming this, so I'm still working on it a little bit, but yeah, I'm excited to start working on a new palette, and I think we're going to have some really good progress with this one this year. But that's going to be everything for today's video. I hope you guys liked this one, and definitely be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys!